Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding.
You know, it's pretty wild to think about, but what if I told you that about 1 in 5 adults has a condition that literally causes them to stop breathing while they sleep? And this isn't just about feeling a little tired the next day. We're talking about a massive, hidden health crisis. So today, we're going to dive into the science of sleep disorders. We'll look at who's most at risk and why this is a conversation we absolutely can't afford to put off any longer.
Hippocrates said this over 2,000 years ago, and honestly, it hits the nail on the head for what we're talking about today. See, epidemiology isn't just about counting cases. It's about people. It's about figuring out why a 45-year-old man might have a way higher risk for a sleep disorder than a 25-year-old woman. It's all about the person, not just the label of the disease. And what's really interesting is that sleep medicine is, believe it or not, a super young field of science. But the discoveries are coming in hot and fast. And frankly, they are pretty startling. We're realizing that sleep disorders aren't some tiny niche problem. No way. They are incredibly widespread, often invisible, and a truly fundamental part of being human.
Okay, so let's get right to it. Just how common are these things? The real numbers might actually shock you. Let's peel back the curtain and see just how big this hidden crisis really is. So I want you to picture someone you know, maybe a friend or a family member, stopping breathing in their sleep, not just once, but maybe hundreds of times every single night. That is the reality for someone with obstructive sleep apnea. So what do you think? Take a guess. How many adults are we talking about here? 1 in 5. That number is just staggering. Let that sink in for a second. That means if you're in a room with just 5 other adults, it's pretty likely that at least one of them is dealing with this condition, disrupting their sleep and putting their health on the line night after night.
To really get our heads around the scale of this problem, we're going to zero in on 2 of the biggest players in the sleep disorder world: obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, and chronic insomnia.
First up, OSA. The easiest way to think about this is like a plumbing problem, but for your airway. The pipe that carries air to your lungs gets blocked or collapses when you're asleep. And what happens? Your brain has to basically jolt your body awake again and again just to get you breathing. It's exhausting. And then you've got insomnia. And look, this is so much more than just having one bad night. We're talking about a constant struggle, a nightly battle where your brain just won't shut off, leaving you totally drained and unable to function the next day.
So you've got this physical can't breathe problem with OSA on one side, and this mental can't sleep problem with insomnia on the other. But here's the thing: even though they're different, they both lead to the same place: chronic exhaustion. And to make it even messier, a lot of people have both at the same time, which is just a perfect storm for sleep deprivation.
So who's really bearing the brunt of these conditions? Let's go back to that quote from Hippocrates and really look at the human factor, the actual people dealing with this stuff. Okay, this slide really blew my mind. The difference between men and women when it comes to this stuff is, well, it's huge. Data from the Big Wisconsin Sleep Cohort study shows that about 24% of men are affected compared to only 9% of women. That's a massive gap, and it really makes you wonder what's going on there. And our risk for sleep apnea is kind of like a roller coaster ride through life. It actually peaks when we're kids, often because of things like big tonsils. Then it dips down in our teenage years, but then it starts to climb again, steadily, all through adulthood, until it finally levels off after we hit 60. It's a journey, for sure. Now, we have to be really careful here because race and ethnicity are incredibly complex. But some studies have pointed to different risks for different groups. For instance, some research suggests a higher prevalence in Hispanic communities, and that African Americans might develop more severe sleep apnea at a younger age. This is definitely an area that needs a lot more research to fully understand the why. So why does all this matter? What's the real-world impact? Well, the ripple effect of millions of people not getting proper sleep is just enormous. It affects our health, our economy, our whole society. Just get a load of this number: $15.9 billion. And keep in mind, this figure is from the year 2000. That's the estimated annual cost of car crashes linked to untreated sleep apnea. You can only imagine what that number looks like today. It's got to be so much higher. And remember, OSA is not just about loud snoring. It's a serious medical issue that can kick off a whole cascade of other health problems. All those times you stop breathing, all those drops in oxygen, they put a huge strain on your heart. This can lead directly to a higher risk for things like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and even stroke. This next stat is just heartbreaking. It shows that sleep disorders don't just hit adults. They have a devastating impact on kids, too. Children with sleep-disordered breathing use over 200% more healthcare services than healthy kids. That's a massive burden on their families and on our entire healthcare system.
But hold on, because the world of sleep disorders is way bigger than just OSA and insomnia. There's this whole other category of really strange and fascinating conditions called parasomnias. Basically, they're weird things that happen while you're sleeping or waking up. Ever heard of them? Take sleepwalking, for instance. I was totally shocked to learn how common it is. I always thought it was this rare, kind of quirky thing. But it turns out up to a quarter of us, 1 in 4, will probably do it at some point in our lives. How about you? Okay, now imagine this. You're physically acting out your dreams. I mean, punching, kicking, maybe even running, all while you're fast asleep. That's what happens in REM behavior disorder. And it might sound like something from a movie, but it's very real and it's incredibly serious. For up to 90% of people who get diagnosed, it's an early warning sign of a future neurodegenerative disease, like Parkinson's. So, after all of that, the shocking numbers, the incredible costs, the truly bizarre behaviors, what does it all mean? Well, it means we have to completely change the way we think about sleep. It's not a luxury, it's a public health issue. I think we can all agree being exhausted all the time is just awful. But what if we stopped looking at that exhaustion as some kind of personal failure or sign of weakness? What if we saw it for what it often is, a symptom of a real, treatable medical condition? It's time we start taking our sleep just as seriously as we take our diet and our exercise. And if you're still not convinced this affects you, listen to this clinical pearl from the source material. It says that most people will have at least one sleep disorder over their lifetime. This isn't an other people problem. This is an us problem. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. If sleep is so crucial to our health, our happiness, and even our safety, why do we so often treat it like it's optional? It's time to make sleep a priority for ourselves, for our communities, and for our future. Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.